the studios of the Metro News Radio Network in Morgantown, this is West Virginia's premier sports talk show.
From Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between, this is the Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Northside Automotive, Route 19 in Summersville. We'll beat the advertised price of any other dealer in the state, guaranteed. Now here's your host, Tony Caridi.
Hey everybody, good evening to you. Welcome in Friday night, ready to go. Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline on this 11th day of December, in studio with the beloved Coach Greg Hunter. How about this weather, folks, huh?
Yeah,
Come
wonderful.
on. Oh, are you kidding me? I would take this weather every day from now until the last day of April. And then on the first day of May, turn it up to 75 degrees for the rest of the year. Perfect.
Absolutely.
This is good.
It is incredible, and it's supposed to be even warmer through the weekend.
Bad news is...
How come there's no football game on a December weekend like this?
Seriously. Bad news is we're going to pay for it. Wait. You just wait.
But you know what? You push it off the longer, you feel better, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. All right, coming up on the show tonight, how about Shepherd University? Now, just one win away from advancing to the NCAA Division II championship game, which will be played next weekend in Kansas City. Let me turn my headset up so I can hear myself. Tomorrow afternoon at Shepherd, it's the Rams against Grand Valley State. Kickoff is set for noon. We'll have the game for you, the radio broadcast with Travis Jones and Rasheed Marshall on WVMetroNews.com and various stations across the network. Coming up tomorrow, once again, kick at noon. We'll talk with Shepherd's coach, Monty Cater. I'd be lying to you if I pretended to tell you that I know anything about Grand Valley State other than they are extremely well-respected, big-time program, and if there were odds on the game, then Grand Valley State would be favored despite the fact that they're on the road.
Probably. I mean, you know, it's turned out a bunch of coaches, including one who's currently at Notre Dame, Chip Kelly, went through Grand Valley State, got his start in the coaching circles, and was the head coach there for a while. So they spewed him out. So they've
got him on. Speaking of odds, Todd Furman, Sportsline.com, the former odds maker at Caesars, will join us as well. Regular Friday stint. I have not been on with him in like forever. I think the very first time we had him on was the last time that I talked to him. Just not here normally on Fridays. Brad Howe, I always try to get on, but Brad Howe comes in here and locks the door.
Yeah,
and I can't get into the
out.
studio. Can't get into the studio. So we'll talk with him coming up. And also on our program, a little Bob Huggins. He met with reporters earlier today, and we'll get Huggs' thoughts. West Virginia plays Louisiana Monroe on Sunday afternoon at 5 at the Coliseum. I didn't realize until last night that Louisiana Monroe basically has become the Washington Generals. They played last night on the road. They play tomorrow at Penn State. Then they play at WVU on Sunday. I mean, I don't even know how they're going to keep the uniforms clean, let alone figure out how to win the game. So that's coming up Sunday at 5 at the Coliseum. News and notes. College football stuff for you. Greg Schiano is back in college football. This surprised me.
Think about it.
A defensive coordinator?
Yeah, but he's been applying for a lot of head coaching jobs, hasn't been getting those. I think he realized that he needed to take a step back to move back into a head coaching spot, especially when you consider that everybody Urban Meyer ever hires becomes the head coach in like 4 days.
You know, I know, but still, he was the head coach at Rutgers. He was the head coach at Tampa Bay.
You're right.
To go back into it, I mean, don't you go back and become the head coach at East Carolina. Become the head coach at, there's jobs out there that he could get. He was looking for the big slab of bacon. Didn't happen, but like, do you want to go be the DC? No, it is Ohio State. I get all that. I understand. I'm just saying it's weird.
This isn't Wyoming.
Very weird for a head coach to become a defensive coordinator.
Admittedly. But I'm not sure this isn't a bad move. I think this is probably why.
Table setter? You think it's a table setter?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be stunned within 2 years if he doesn't reascend to a high level.
Don't disagree with you. By the way, Golden State tonight goes for win number 23 in a row. Now ESPN has taken it to the newest level of absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Been watching here on ESPN for we've had the TVs on here for a bit. Now they're showing minutes at a time of Steph Curry warming up.
Yeah, I mean
just warming up. No, I mean that's it. They just have like a one camera shot and they're just showing him shoot shots. They're not showing the ball go into the basket.
No.
All you can see him doing is taking shots, and you never know if it goes in or not.
Steph Curry, the odds are it goes in, even in warm-up, right?
And they're just, I mean, you talk about beating the living snot out of something. Holy cow. Meanwhile.
Even Michael and LeBron never got this treatment.
I never saw, they never showed like Michael warming up for like minutes at a time. Anyway, go with it. Meanwhile, back to our college football coaching change information. Former member of the WVU program, Travis Trickett. Now, he would be the son of Rick Trickett, the brother of Clint Trickett. He has been successful as the offensive coordinator at Samford, and he has been hired now as the new offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic University. Why was he hired? Well, his Samford team was number 7 offensively in the nation this past season, averaging 480 yards per game. They were number 3 in the nation in passing yardage at 333. So he'll take over an FAU team that's 82nd in total offense and 105 in yards per game, and a team that was 3-9 this past season. Quick, who's the head coach at FAU?
I know.
If you said Charlie Partridge, you're exactly right. No relation to Reuben Kincaid. Meanwhile, other news to pass along.
How old you got to be to get that reference?
Really old. Over 50. Now, next up, why can't Texas get a new offensive coordinator? Tulsa's offensive coordinator, Sterling Gilbert, has reportedly turned down an offer from the Longhorns. According to Jerry Hamilton and Brett McMurphy of ESPN, Gilbert was offered a 3-year deal to become the Longhorns' offensive coordinator, but he said no. This comes in the same week that TCU's co-offensive coordinator, Sonny Cumbie, turned down the Texas job. What's up with that, man?
That one's the stunner. I mean, Cumbie leaving to move across the conference, okay, you could accept that. But the Tulsa guy turning down the Longhorns? How's that happen?
Yeah, something's going on there. Something's going on. Oklahoma today confirming that junior quarterback Trevor Knight has been granted a release from his scholarship by Bob Stoops. He'll graduate. This is a good story. He'll graduate at the end of the semester. He'll be their backup quarterback for Baker Mayfield during the playoffs. And then as soon as that bad boy's over, he's out. He's gone. He said, my decision to reach out and communicate with other potential programs is something I feel I must do in order to see if there's a perfect fit for my senior season. I can promise you that no one is more proud to be a Sooner than I am, and in no way, shape, or form will this take away from my excitement and commitment heading into the championship season. I'm truly touched by the support from both Coach Stoops and Coach Lincoln Riley, as well as the Sooner Nation during this time. So a classy way.
West Virginia should two-fold question for you. Should West Virginia be interested in a graduate transfer quarterback who could be eligible immediately? And then is Trevor Knight a quarterback that would fit that mold that you would be interested in seeing play at West Virginia?
I think any kid who beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl is someone you have to look at, regardless of what you have. Also, I think we all know, whether we know it or not, you can never have enough quarterbacks. Sure. Right? You know, it's like blue shirts. You can never have enough blue shirts, blue dress shirts. You can never have enough quarterbacks.
I'd agree with you on 2. I'm not a Trevor Knight fan.
I'm not saying he's the guy. I'm just saying.
If I take one, I think West Virginia probably should be interested in one, but that's not the one.
No, he crapped down his back obviously this year against TCU. He's just horrific. I get all that, but I'm just saying he got a little something in there.
Yeah.
He got a little something
once,
in there.
a couple years ago.
Georgia Southern's head coach, he was on the sideline at the stadium earlier this year, Willie Fritz, And he has left Georgia Southern after an 8-4 record this season, and he will become the new head coach at Tulane. So congratulations to him. He's been a guy that's been around, paid the price. His dad was a coach, and he did the deal. We invite you to stay tuned. More coming up. Army-Navy this weekend. What's Todd Furman think of the bowl matchups? What about some NFL? We'll get all of. What about the Heisman? Is it a done deal? It's Derrick Henry, that's over, right? Done?
So what everyone thinks.
That's right. It's over. What are the odds? All right, we'll get with Todd Furman. Coming up, stay with us. Northside Automotive, Statewide Sportsline. But first, don't touch your radio dial. Let me tell you something. Have you ever wanted to tour the homes of West Virginia's original millionaires? The Bramwell Christmas Home Tour is the perfect opportunity to see how Victorian coal barons of the past lived. You can stroll the streets, admire the Christmas decorations on the light posts, the storefronts, and more. Check it out. Really neat, real holiday spirit. You'll find it in wild, wonderful West Virginia. That's the Bramwell Christmas Home Tour. Check it out. Back with more coming up after these.
Someday, we'll go to the edge of the galaxy. But for now, you can go to the ends of the earth in a Jeep brand SUV. Find your adventure in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. Catch a show of shooting stars underneath the night sky in the Jeep Cherokee, the 2015 four-wheeler of the year. And go far, far away in the Jeep Renegade with up to 31 mpg highway. Hurry into the Jeep year-end blockbuster sales event. Going on now.
Star Wars The Force Awakens, December 18th, rated PG-13.
Well-qualified lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 for $279 a month for 36 months with $24.99 due at signing. Tax, title, and license extra. EPA estimate, 1.4-liter engine with manual transmission. Call 1-888-925-JEEP for details. Requires dealer contribution and lease through Ally. 20-cent charge for each mile over 30,000. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 1/4/16. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
As a cyclist, we make choices. We choose which motorcycle manufacturer to buy from. We choose what type of motorcycle we ride. We even choose where and when to ride. We also choose to ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Alcohol is involved in 50% of motorcycle fatalities in West Virginia. That's 1 in 2 drivers who die each year. Don't become a statistic. Ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Presented by the West Virginia Department of Transportation, Governor's Highway Safety and Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Program.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes. On Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
This fall, not all blockbusters are movies. The Jeep Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. It's the must-see event of the year. Well-qualified current lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo for $279 a month.
Welcome back, everybody. Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline. Tony Caridi along with Coach Greg Hunter. Thanks so much for being with us. Just a second here. We're going to hook up with Todd Furman, co-host of Bet the Board podcast, and also CBS, I should say, with Sportsline.com, former odds makers at Caesars. Hey, here's the deal of the day. Speaking of numbers, the single deal of the day from Northside Automotive. You're in the market for a pre-owned vehicle. How about this one? 2010 Ford Mustang GT right now was $20,995. It was $20,995. Right now, $17,499. If you've had a Mustang fever in your past, check it out. Go to Northside's Facebook page to see and learn more. Joined now by Todd Furman. Todd, good evening to you. Thanks so much for being with us.
No problem, guys. Happy to jump into the fray.
All right, so here we go, man. Before we talk about a game, what do you say we talk about Heisman? Any chance of any kind of a surprise based on what we're seeing now, or is it Alabama's Heisman?
It is Derrick Henry's award to lose at this current juncture. I'd be absolutely shocked if there was anybody else taking home the hardware. People can say that Christian McCaffrey's got a shot, Deshaun Watson, but the odds of Derrick Henry losing that award at 20-1 or 1-20 where he's at right now, slim to none.
All right, Army-Navy tomorrow. I mean, it looks like the only thing you could do here is over-under because Army is obviously on the wrong side of this thing, a 23-point spread in this game.
Yeah, this game, very difficult to handicap. Underdogs, especially service academies, catching 20 or more have been a very profitable bet when you look at the Air Force, Army, Navy rivalry. 76-24 and change. So the side play says that Army would be the angle to take, but at that same time, no real interest in trying to back the Black Knights. Can make a small case for going under the total. I'm not sure how many points that Army's going to hang on the board. This number, though, has come down from 54.5 at the peak down to 50.5.
What has happened in Vegas this week with the college football playoff being set? What kind of a action situation has it been here, at least early on?
What you've seen is some under money coming in that appears very real on the Alabama-Michigan State game. That total opened at 49, down to 47. You'll have a little bit of public money that'll come in wanting to bet this thing over, but not quite sure where the points will come from in the Cotton Bowl in the second semifinal. As far as the game pitting number one overall seed Clemson against Oklahoma, we saw that number open Oklahoma a 1-point favorite in some spots, tick out to 3.5, 4. A lot of people saying that odds makers may know a thing or two, but the reality of it is this is purely off of power numbers and where these two teams are. I think Clemson is going to come in a little bit more motivated, knowing that they've been the best team, at least in the eyes of the committee, but being disrespected in the eyes of odds makers.
Todd, in the NFL, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is one of the marquee games this weekend. Pittsburgh's done really well in Cincinnati, but the Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite. How does this one work out?
Yeah, you've seen very real money from the professionals coming in on the dog here. We know about Big Ben's track record in Cincinnati. The Steelers, the team 9-2 against the spread their last 11 trips there. The first game of the year, Cincinnati pretty fortunate to win in Big Ben's return from injury, sneaking out that 16-10 decision at Heinz Field. You figure that there will be plenty of points, and that's what the total says, 47 on the open out to 50. I'm in agreement here, though. I think it's Steelers or pass, but if you're going to back the black and gold, you need to try and grab the field goal if your book still offers it.
Todd Furman is our guest, Bet the Board podcast and Sportsline.com. Let's jump here back to college with West Virginia and Arizona State. That's a low number now, down to -1 as far as Arizona State being favored. What's your take?
I think this is going to hinge on how dynamic West Virginia's passing game will look. You look at Arizona State, the strength of this team has been their defensive line and the ability to make their opponents a little bit more one-dimensional. At the same time, de facto home game for ASU playing at Chase Field. I'm just not sure what the attendance will look like. You can make the claim you'll see more Mountaineer fans going out to Phoenix for the holidays than Arizona State fans just making the short drive across town. But you look at Arizona State's pass defense. That's where they've been susceptible, and I think West Virginia, in breaking down film, will have plenty of opportunities to try and figure out the bizarre blitz schemes that we've seen from Todd Graham in the past. I think pick them probably right where the number needs to be. Make a slight case for backing Arizona State here, but as we know with these bowl games, guys, motivation becomes the key, and reading players' quotes and comments leading up to it will be more indicative of what we're going to see on January 2nd.
Another bowl game involving West Virginia teams. Marshall playing in St. Petersburg against UConn. Thundering Herd currently a 4.5-point favorite against the Huskies. Any reason the favorite shouldn't cover?
One of the lower totals we've seen. We know both of these teams have had strong defensive performances all year long, but I think when you look at Marshall, this is clearly a team that hasn't been that healthy for extended stretches during the regular season. That'll work in their favor in this particular spot. UConn a little bit more one-dimensional, moving the football. I can definitely see Marshall being the side here as a 4-point favorite. And when you talk about conference superiority, I don't really see a ton of difference with the middle-of-the-pack teams from the American Athletic compared to the top of Conference USA.
Todd, getting back to jumping over here to college football bowl games on a whole here. Is there any number that stood out to you, any game that you just kind of looked at and said, wow, that has been out there on the board?
I think if you look at the high-profile games, the number on Florida State-Houston, indicative of a Florida State expecting them not to show up. Power number-wise, the Seminoles would be a 12.5, 13-point favorite given their current form against the Cougars. However, the track record of teams coming from those Power 5 conferences has been, well, we see an inferior opponent, at least on paper. We don't show up and bring our A game. But I think the Seminoles didn't have national championship aspirations coming into the year, like, say, an Ohio State might have. So they see this as a reward. And if you get this feeling that they want to be there, I'm not sure Greg Ward and a one-dimensional Cougars offense is going to pose a whole lot of challenges for a team that's going to be a lot more athletic. Plus, Houston hasn't encountered a running back anywhere close to the stature of Dalvin Cook.
Todd, there are a lot of these bowl games that are featuring coaching staffs that are headed elsewhere. Some are going to coach during the bowl game. Many are not. How does that factor into how the odds work?
You definitely need to consider it. And I think this is the time of year more so than even during the regular season when you read coaches' comments about focus for the team. That is usually a huge indicator. Do they see this as kind of a send-off for that interim coach? Do they think he may have a chance to remain on the staff? You look at very different examples, as you allude to. BYU going to get Bronco Mendenhall on the sidelines for his final game at BYU next Saturday in the Las Vegas Bowl, whereas a team like Georgia takes on Penn State with an interim coach there. Players may not be as focused. Typically, I've had a lot of success backing some of these interim coaches in the past because the public perception is that the players run amok without the head man there. But in reality, if they're offensive or defensive coordinators they respect, they want to give these guys a chance to shine.
Yeah, that's a good point. One last thing from you, if we could, Todd, away from the games. We're seeing decisions continuing to be made regarding fantasy leagues, FanDuel, DraftKings. It continues to go, and today word coming out in New York. What's the industry's thought about what's transpiring here in regard to these fantasy leagues?
The sentiment out here in the desert is that it was kind of inevitable. When you look at the way Nevada handed down the ruling from the Gaming Control Board that if DraftKings or FanDuel were going to operate within our state borders, they needed to go through the same regulatory process as any gaming entity would. The mindset and the public stance from a lot of these DFS sites that somehow it is a game of skill and there's no correlation to gambling is borderline laughable in my opinion. At the same time, though, I think anything that allows the casual fan to have a little bit of skin in the game, whether it's with a $2 league or a $5 wager on a game with a friend, I think it's good for sports. And to see that this New York State handed down the edict that they need to get more clarification on all this, I think it opens up the doors for not only DFS but single-game wagering to be legalized nationally, regulated. It'll be a question of how fast the various sports leagues get on board. We know the NBA stance, but until the NFL decides that daily fantasy and gambling are no longer opposite ends of the family tree, but they're more like identical twins, I think we're still in for a long court battle at this juncture.
Yeah. Great stuff as always, Todd. We certainly appreciate your time all season long. Thanks for being with us. And again, we encourage folks to check you out. The name of the podcast is Bet the Board, and also your work on Sportsline.com. Thanks so much, Todd.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the games this weekend.
You bet. Take care. There he is. Todd Furman. A lot of stuff there, right?
Oh, boy.
Heisman, done deal. Don't worry about that. Fantasy, done. Fantasy, done. Mountaineers, can they pass the ball? Right? Arizona State's 12th out of 12 in the Pac-12 in stopping the pass, but they're really good at stopping the run, like second best, right?
Yep.
Ooh.
West Virginia runs well, doesn't throw well. Is that it? That doesn't sound like a good matchup.
That doesn't play well, does it?
No.
All right. That's the deal. We invite you to stay tuned, 6:31. When we come back, we're going to hook up with Shepherd head football coach Monty Cater tomorrow afternoon at high noon. They go against Grand Valley State for the right to play in the national championship in Division II. We'll have that and more coming up. Northside Automotive, Statewide Sportsline.
Virginia has balanced its budget on the back of the coal industry ever since we became a state 150 years ago. Historically, the coal industry and coal-fired electric utilities have accounted for over 60% of all business taxes, while high-energy wages contribute a disproportionate share of income taxes, and coal severance dollars sustain important programs in all counties. All told, the industry infuses over $26 billion to our state's economy. Coal alone has paid down nearly $1 billion of the state's workers' compensation debt. Consequently, all state businesses have experienced major reductions in workers' comp benefits. The coal industry has always supported our people and our economy, but it's under attack from the Obama administration and the EPA. It's fighting to survive. Coal taxes in West Virginia are higher than our surrounding states. We're losing coal markets to our neighbors. Let's get our mines and coal miners working again. Support a reduced tax rate for mining, paid for by West Virginia Coal Association.
Is your business or organization struggling when it comes time to tell your story? After all, your story is what makes you unique. Your story is what makes potential clients and customers draw themselves to you. Unfortunately, oftentimes, those stories aren't told and businesses and organizations remain mired in mediocrity. At Pikewood Creative, we produce videos and commercials in a way that make people take notice. If you need some visual help, then visit us at pikewoodcreative.com.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes. On Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
This fall, not all blockbusters are movies. The Jeep Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. It's the must-see event of the year. Well-qualified current lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo for $279 a month.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Thanks for being with us, everyone. The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline continues on this Friday night. Tony Caridi in the studio with Coach Greg Hunter. And I tell you what, this is starting to become a habit, and I like it. I like it. It means that Shepherd keeps on winning. We're joined right now by the head football coach of the Shepherd University Rams, Monty Cater. Good evening to you, Coach.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Congratulations on last week, and obviously the excitement level has got to be percolating right now on campus and for everyone involved in the program.
I tell you, even though we've just finished finals, a lot of students going to hang around and anticipate, obviously, a great day weather-wise, but certainly a big crowd, and everybody's excited. I know we just finished the meeting with the NCAA and ESPN that's going to handle the game and stuff like that, but it's an exciting time.
Coach, was it difficult this week because you did have final exams on campus to get your regular practice in, or were you able to figure out a plan?
Well, we were able to adjust practice just a little bit. We're always concerned that our guys saying, hey, there's no way we're going to slide football this week, when they need to make sure that they're getting ready for finals. But it was adjustable. We were able to go ahead and get some things done a little earlier in the day, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Before we look ahead to Grand Valley State, last week's game, I tell you what, your team's got some moxie and some not quit in it. I was watching the first half of the game, and Slippery Rock defensively, their line was having its way with your offensive line. And, you guys kind of bowed up there and turned the entire complexion around on that. From what I understand, that's not atypical. That's kind of the way you guys play. You absolutely you refuse to battle regardless of what happens during the course of a first half.
Well, it's a young football team, but the kids are close. They battle. They don't want to let each other down. And the thing that concerns me a little bit is really both the IUP game and the Slippery Rock game. We've waited until the second half to play our best football, and you can't go ahead and give people a lot of momentum. Certainly you don't want to be chasing them, and with the task that we have tomorrow, we better not let that happen again.
When you watch this Grand Valley State team, what's the first thoughts that come to your mind when you break them down both offensively and defensively?
Well, they really attack you on defense. I think, they got a great defensive ends, one of the top players really in the country, certainly at our level, and he's got 20-some sacks, and they get a lot of turnovers, but a lot of it's because of pressure. They come after you, and they'll show you some different things in the secondary, but they do like to play some man-to-man. Offensively, even though they lost a real good tailback, they're deep there, and they're balanced enough that they're able to go ahead and keep you off balance by being able to run and pass. We hate that as a defense, love that as an offense if we can do that so that people can't play you one-dimensionally. So, we've got to be ready to go and understand the challenge that's going to be there. But there's a reason they're here and a reason they've got the tradition that they do, and that's because they're good every year. And the idea is going to be great because we're going to have them here in Shepherdstown and an opportunity to go ahead and continue our season.
Coach, they got 45 sacks on the year, does Grand Valley State. So is protection of your quarterback the biggest key for you guys offensively?
Well, if you mentioned that, that's kind of I started with their defensive line because they do really pressure, and they don't always have to bring linebackers. They do like to pressure, but, they get an awful lot of mileage out of the front. And, we gave up a lot of sacks last week. I'm sure they spent a lot of time with that film. But at the same time, we've done some things where I think we can shore up some of that protection, and we got to give Jeff some time. If he's got time, he's going to be fine, and he'll get it to some real good receivers that we have. But if he's scrambling around for his life, then, it's going to be tougher. But that's also a reason you got to be able to run the football a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you, but listeners may want to know. Matt, I guess it's Joden, 20 sacks on the season. Haven't seen that very often out of one guy.
I don't really want to see it tomorrow, but I think he's going to play. He is really good. He is so quick off the edge, and he's one reason. I don't think anyone else is close to that number of sacks on their team, but he presents some problems, and our guys understand you better know where he's at, and if you got a chip or you got to buy a little time with your tight end and stuff like that, then you have to do those things.
Health-wise, Coach, how do you go into this one?
Well, not bad. We're going to get James Gupton back, and he's probably as fierce a hitter as we have. And, we talked before, he's a first-team all-conference player that missed 3 games. He hasn't played, for us in a month, but he's had a great week of practice. The hamstrings come along, and we will get him back. Otherwise, we're about where we were. We didn't get Will Smith back. Everybody's got bumps and bruises and things like that right now, but I think we're going to be as close as we can get to being full strength tomorrow.
Talking with Monty Cater, the head football coach at Shepherd University, as they get set for Grand Valley State coming up tomorrow at high noon. Metro News will have the radio coverage of the game as well on the website at Metro News, wvmetronews.com. So you're into the Final Four here, Coach. You've been at this for a long, long time. You've learned through the years. You've seen teams that make it to this point. What are the absolute essentials to be successful when you get down to this very rarefied air?
Well, I think it's all the cliches people talk about that you should never use. But, we've got to be smart. You can't turn the ball over. Can't give up big plays. We've got to have some balanced offense so that our defense doesn't have to play the whole ball game and stay out there that whole time. I think all those types of things that are going to be important. Silly penalties. We've done a little bit better job in recent games, but last week was unbelievable with like 28 penalties. So we can't help them that way as well. But just stay together, not go ahead and panic if we give up a play or something like that. And we've got to go ahead and make sure that we have some poise. And I think that while we don't have a lot of seniors, that we've got some leaders that aren't seniors as well. Our kids are going to stay together, and we'll go ahead and be able to play through some tough times if they come up.
Final thought from you here. They do have 2 losses on the season. Both were to teams ranked number 5 in the nation at the time that they played them. When they have lost, what happened in those games?
Well, they gave up some points. Obviously, in one of them, they gave up just a pile of points, I think, to Ashland and Ferris State both. But I think the biggest thing and why we believe that they're playing their best football right now is both of those teams they played again in the playoffs, and they beat both of those teams. So whether it's a revenge factor or whatever, they were able to go ahead and find some answers and be able to go ahead and get in the win column, and that's how they've advanced. So they're playing very good football right now, and I think one of those was like the second game of the season or third, and you get to see all their film, but I think they're a different football team than when those games took place.
Well, Coach, we certainly wish you the best. 12-0 on the season, and once again tomorrow at high noon. I know that the Shepherd fans will. The big question is, where are you going to put everyone? From what I understand, it should be an absolute wonderful atmosphere, and we wish you guys the best.
Well, I really appreciate it. We're excited about the opportunity to host this first semifinal. So I know our guys will be ready, and you're right. That's going to be a nice crowd.
You bet. Take care, Coach, and best of luck.
Thank you.
You bet. There he is, Monty Cater, head football coach, Shepherd University. They're 12-0. They are ranked number 5, number 7 in the 2 polls. Grand Valley State ranked 12th in both polls. They do have a couple losses, but I guess the great point that he just made is the 2 teams that they lost to in the regular season, they lost to Ferris State 61-24, week number 3. Then they beat Ferris State 2 weeks ago, 38-34. The other team they lost to in the regular season, Ashland, they lost to them 45-31. Second chance, they get them and they beat them 45-28. So they're ready.
Score a ton of points. You look at the statistics of what they've put up. They can score points, and they'll give up a few on occasion. But, yeah, again, this is – I don't know if it's the premier Division II program in the country. I'll have to ask some of the D2 experts that, but it's up there. I mean, it's equal to almost anyone that you'll see.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll take a break. When we come back, Mountaineer basketball, West Virginia, Louisiana Monroe, coming up on Sunday afternoon. We'll hear some cuts from earlier today. Bob Huggins spoke with reporters, as did Devin Williams. We'll get those thoughts and more. Do stay with us. Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline.
All Medicare eligible individuals. It's time for open enrollment. Take advantage of the health plan's Medicare plans with benefits such as Silver Sneakers gym membership, an extensive list of doctors and hospitals. Contact us 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week at 1-877-847-7915 or visit healthplan.org/Medicare. This information is not a complete description of benefits. Contact the plan for more information. Limitations, copayments, and restrictions may apply. Benefits and/or copayments, coinsurance may change on January 1 of each year.
As a cyclist, we make choices. We choose which motorcycle manufacturer to buy from. We choose what type of motorcycle we ride. We even choose where and when to ride. We also choose to ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Alcohol is involved in 50% of motorcycle fatalities in West Virginia. That's 1 in 2 drivers who die each year. Don't become a statistic. Ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Presented by the West Virginia Department of Transportation, Governor's Highway Safety and Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Program.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes. On Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
This fall, not all blockbusters are movies. The Jeep Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. It's the must-see event of the year. Well-qualified current lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo for $279 a month.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
That's right, man. Oh, you were too young. You just were too young to know this is how it all started. You just don't know. You think you're cool. You think you were in on it. No, you weren't. This was it, man. This was the big one. This was the big one that started it all. Right, Coach Hunter?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. That's.
We got to do a look back on where some of those guys are now. I think a couple of them have passed away.
I would imagine, probably, right? That's 77, 1977, 1997, 23, 33. Yeah, well, if they did, I mean, they'd probably be in their 60s. If they did, they probably wouldn't be all that old, right?
No. Yeah, you're right.
Shouldn't be that old.
Grandmaster Flash is 57.
So, yeah, see? Yeah. He's still got stuff going on there. Meanwhile, a reminder, the Bramwell Christmas Home Tour, a perfect opportunity to see how Victorian coal barons here in West Virginia lived. You can stroll through the streets, admire the Christmas decorations on the lights, light posts and storefronts and more. Check it out. The original West Virginia millionaire homes, the Bramwell Christmas Home Tour. Check it out. Wild, wonderful West Virginia, real holiday spirit. All right. Hugs, that would be the basketball coach here at the college, met with the media earlier today and talking about all things WVU hoops. And as you may imagine, the topic of the Virginia game was the topic of the Virginia game was brought up. And with that being said, I don't think that one's going to go away for a long, long time, to be honest with you. I think people are going to talk about it because there was such a huge turn of how West Virginia was playing to how it ended the contest. Anyway, Hugs on the second half against Virginia.
We didn't guard. We didn't do a very good job of defending and couldn't make a shot. If you don't make shots, you don't make free throws, and you don't defend, your chances of winning aren't very good. That was about as poor an effort as I think we've probably had all year.
All right, so will that be, or will that provide the proverbial wake-up call for the Mountaineers?
I think sometimes it wakes you up a little bit, but I've always been a proponent of you have to be really, really dumb to have to lose to learn. You know, why can't you take a win and go in and dissect the film with the same kind of attitude that you do when you lose? And that seemingly is hard for a lot of people to do.
Okay. Now, moving ahead to further action, the three-point shot. Obviously, in that game, both Javon Carter struggled. Daxter Miles struggled from three. The team 0 for 7 from three in the second half. Is there a threat?
No, but I'm open for suggestions. I mean, if you got one somewhere. I told him yesterday I was thinking about going to the library. I don't know. We make shots in practice. When you watch these two guys down there, do they look like they can't shoot? They're making shots. You just haven't made any in the game yet. I think that'll come. We got to do a better job scoring it close. We got to do a better job on our execution. them making shots shouldn't be that big an issue.
All right. Devin Williams now, his thoughts on that game against Virginia. What about the effort?
We came out, hype first half. That was more off of just our energy and being excited to be in the Garden. But, I think when the game settled down, we didn't really do a good job with preparing the right way. So, that energy we bought first half, we also need to prepare a little bit better. So that's what we're going to do. Just prepare better and just continue to work hard.
Yeah, it's a 40-minute game, not a 15-minute game. And lastly, from Devin Williams, now moving ahead to Louisiana Monroe.
No, you got to bounce back. That's part of playing basketball. We got 23, 24 games left or something like that. So we can't dwell on Tuesday and lose sight of Sunday because we got to keep moving on. And so it's gonna be a lot of tough games, where we're gonna be able to prove ourselves. I don't think that'll be our own ESPN game this year. So we'll have our chance to show the nation and the country, who we really are. But right now we just gotta prepare for Sunday and leave Tuesday behind and just get better.
And it'll be the Mountaineers against Louisiana Monroe, 5 o'clock at the Coliseum on Sunday.
Hard for this team to put that behind them because they've got a stretch here where they don't have to concentrate quite as much, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this. I don't think it's a fun place to be when the Mountaineers don't play well over at the building. I don't think it's a fun place, and I think that they know that they can make it a more enjoyable place if they go out and play hard, right? If they play hard, it's decent. But when it's not, and when they don't, then they're just absolutely miserable over there. And I think they go out there and they play really hard on Sunday. I think they'll be dealing haymakers Sunday.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that Louisiana Monroe is playing its 9th game in 6 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
all they need is double headers.
I mean, those poor buddies. I mean, seriously. You get pounded by Virginia, right? And so you're going to come out there and you're going to play. Here comes poor little Louisiana Monroe. 3rd game in 4 days.
Yeah. Akron Thursday, right? Penn State Saturday.
West Virginia Sunday. They're going to be wobbly to begin with, right? They're not going to have great bounce. And it's going to be, they'll be fine.
Oddity of that, and I saw this in their game notes, the Penn State game is at Rec Hall.
Yeah, they didn't even let them play in the big boy arena.
It's like, nah, you don't get to play in the real gym. We're going to put you in the JV gym.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like, that'd be equivalent if West Virginia said, hey, we're going to play you in the shell. Come on over. We're going to put a temporary court up over the No, we're not even going to put a temporary court. We're just going to play on that rubber floor. That old 1979 rubber floor. Go ahead. We're going to play in that baby. Your big gym's not open? Nah. Yeah, they're using it. Can't get in there. We're going to play in the shell. Hey, how about this deal? Some of you may be familiar with this, but each year up at Wheeling Jesuit, they have the Cancer Research Classic. Normally it's a 2-day basketball tournament, and they bring in some of the top teams in the nation. And this year, because the January 1st falls on a Friday, they're going to do it all in one day. 7 games on January the 2nd, right? Same day the Mountaineers play their bowl game. And how about this list this year? 5 of the nation's top 7 teams. 5 of the nation's top 7 are there.
Wow.
8 of the top 25 are there. Plus, you've got Wheeling Park and Wheeling Central, and of course Chase Harler is on that Wheeling Central team. That he's signed obviously with WVU. So in the history of this tournament, they've had 8 of these so far. They have had 18 of the players that have participated in this tournament drafted in the NBA. They've had Jabari Parker, they had Andrew Wiggins, and this is the most star-studded field that they've had. So if you're a hoop fan, high school basketball fan, once again, 7 of the nation's top 8. I'm sorry, 5 of the nation's top 7, 8 of the top 25. Going to be there January the 2nd at Wheeling Jesuit. And ticket information, you can go to cancerresearchclassic.org. That's cancerresearchclassic.org. Dr. Greg Merrick there at Wheeling Hospital is the person that put this thing together several years ago, and he does it every single year, and the field just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Meanwhile, a little high schoolage here, a little high school stuff. You've probably heard by now, maybe you haven't. We always talk about conference expansion, reorganization, right?
Yep.
Sometimes it does go down to the high school ranks. The Cardinal Conference voting yesterday to add Logan, Nitro, and Winfield to form a 10-team league out of Class AA that starts next year. So Logan, Nitro, and Winfield now in the Cardinal Conference. Lincoln County and Point Pleasant also attempted to join the league. They were not accepted.
They're the BYU.
What? What's up with that, man? They turned their thumb down on the Point and on Lincoln County. How's that work? More on the story at WVMetroNews.com. God, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the bad things you have to go through in high school, right? Not getting a date to the prom, right? Not making the cuts for the basketball team, right? Getting cut, things like that. Now they won't even let the whole school into a conference. What do you think it was? Why'd the Cardinal Conference turn down Lincoln County and Point Pleasant? You think they just didn't think they brought TV revenue? They said, hey, listen, Point Pleasant doesn't do anything for our TV ratings, man. We're not letting them in. Or they may have said, we're trying to get someone out of the time zone so that we can expand, really, our footprint. You think it was cable systems there? Like Point Pleasant did not have enough households.
Well, you couldn't count the Wahama area, so.
They didn't have enough households for them really to generate revenue, so when the Cardinal Conference starts the Cardinal Conference TV network, they didn't feel Point Pleasant or Lincoln County was really going to give them what they needed. So they're out. So now you got those poor schools. They're just walking around aimlessly trying to find people to play them. Weren't allowed in. Everyone's afraid of Point. Even our little Garrett Cullen here. He's afraid of the Point, too.
Absolutely. His parents graduated from there.
I want to know who blackballed Lincoln and Wahama. Or, I'm sorry, Lincoln and Point Pleasant. It's the same people that did the same thing to West Virginia and the ACC. We got to find these people out. All right. As you can tell, I ran out of content about 90 seconds ago. Thanks for being with us. Sunday Night Sportsline at 6:06. Be good. Stay out of trouble. And we'll see you. Once again, best of luck to Shepherd tomorrow. Game goes at noon. We'll have the radio for you at WVMetroNews.com. You can also watch it on ESPN3. See you. We're out.